Can English fluency give you confidence? Or if you are confident enough, so does it mean you are good at English, you are fluent at English, or you are flawless at it? The answer is no. Both are different. If your English is good or you are fluent at it, and you are expecting that you will automatically be confident or English will make you confident, so the answer is no. Confidence is all about believing in yourself, believing in your words. When you are able to create some difference, when you are able to mesmerize others with your speech, you have that charisma, and the way you are presenting yourself, your words are being valued and respected by others. So there are many speakers, they come to me and they say that they are good when they speak to themselves or when they speak in English to the people they are comfortable with. They're good, they speak very nice or they speak fine. They can at least deliver their thoughts, they can at least get their points across. Whereas when they have to speak to strangers or when they have to speak to the people whom they are not comfortable with, or they are strangers, or they are something they don't want to face to, so then they face problem and they feel they are lacking confidence. Hi everybody, this is Tanya, your ESL coach. Welcome back to my channel. So the motto of this video today is Speak English Confidently by 31st December. This video is being uploaded on 15th of December and you have 15 days left now to enter in 2025. So this 15 days I'm taking up as a challenge, and this challenge I'm giving to you guys. You have to take up this challenge. We have 15 days left and it is basically going to be a kind of transformation if you genuinely follow it, if you consistently follow it and you accept it. 15 days is not a big deal because usually we consider 21 days, or if you want to make a habit of something, so the longer period is around 3 months or 6 months, I guess. So 15 days is just as easy as ABC. You can easily do that. If you see my previous videos, there in many videos I have asked you guys to take up a challenge for English fluency for 3 months, then 21 days challenge, and there are many more. There I have nicely divided how can you start as a beginner, as an intermediate, if you are an intermediate level, or if you are an advanced level, then how you can improve yourself. But you need to understand one thing: if you are really working on your communication skills, because ultimately this is your target, right? You don't need to master your grammar, you don't need to learn millions of words, that means vocabulary, phrasal verbs, idioms. Your ultimate target is to speak confidently so that you can mesmerize others with your speech, with your words, and you have to build a strong communication. So the first thing you need to understand is strong communication is not just about speaking English fluently, it's about confidence, clarity, and connecting with people. So right now I am speaking. Whenever I speak, I always try to make a connection with you guys. It's not only in these videos, not only on YouTube, where I speak anywhere. If I go live, or if these are my sessions, or this is in real life, personal life as well. Whenever I speak to people, I try to keep it as original as I can so that I can connect with you. If a person is speaking in robotic way, when they have the things written somewhere and they are just delivering this to you, you won't feel connected. You will feel connected to the people when you realize that yes, this person is delivering something original and by heart for sure. So connection is very important. By the end of this challenge, you are going to get all these things if you rigorously follow whatever I'm going to speak in this video today. Okay, so I said 3 things. I hope you remember: confidence, clarity, and connecting with the person you are talking to. Clarity, sometimes it depends that whether you are extending your conversation or you are to the point or you are straightforward. That depends, and this varies person to person. For me, this is my habit, okay? I'm not appreciating this habit of mine, but before I come to a conclusion, I always try to look at its root cause, or from where it started. How can I nicely describe it? I always start from there and then I reach to a conclusion. So it depends upon you, like you are straightforward or you want to speak to the point, you are so strict with your words, or you like to elaborate, you like to follow the flow. That is very good. Okay, so I always follow the flow. Now before I dive into the content part, that what we actually have to do in this challenge, you need to understand few things. If you see, so I have mentioned a word manifestation there on my video or on my title or on my thumbnail. Somewhere you will find it. I don't know where I'm going to put it up. So manifestation is definitely very important. I know that most of you may not even understand it, but what I'm exactly talking about is visualizing yourself. I may be talking about this in the context as well, but right now you need to understand that what we are going to do, we have to include manifestation there, and also we have to set some achievable goals. It's not if you have just 15 days, so we are going to divide it into sections. Okay, we are going to divide it into parts, and if you set a goal which is very hard to achieve, you lose it there and there. So make achievable goals. That is what I mean. And it's not only for English. We all know that we are going to enter in 2025, and we know what we do with the new year, especially with January. January is so special for everybody because this is the time. I'm not demotivating or demoralizing anybody that, or not even to myself, that whether we are able to maintain that energy throughout the year or not, but that January is just so special because then we make our targets, we try and list down few things what we are going to do throughout this year. Okay, but then we can achieve it or not, that's just a different case. So make achievable goals, to-do lists, and be consistent, be focused. And if you have just that 15 days, then remind yourself every day, every time. You have to keep this in your mind. I'm not asking that you you have to keep repeating this, but at least keep this in your head that you are on this journey. You have taken up this challenge and you are fulfilling a challenge. So your mind will play a magical role here, because if you are not ready with your mind and soul, then there is no point of taking this action or this challenge. You have to be ready with your mind first. You have to put your heart and soul into it, and then only you can achieve it. Okay, now get into the challenge part. Now we are going to divide this challenge into 3 sections, and for each section we'll give 5 days because we have 15 days, so we can easily divide it into 3. So for the first section, you have to give 1 to 5 days, definitely. And in it, what you have to do, you have to focus on pronunciation as well. Your tone and pronunciation also matters, or I would say that it plays a great role to your confidence. Because I have seen people, they have such a good knowledge in grammar, they can frame the sentences so perfectly, but just because their tone is different or their pronunciation is not so good, so their mistakes are easily highlighted, or even if they speak something right, so it's not that attractive. So the truth is truth. Okay, I'm not saying that, I know that you will be having some complaints that your tone is different just because of your mother tongue, or your pronunciation may not be good, but you can focus on that, right? And see, for pronunciation, different people will have different opinions, but I personally believe that for pronunciation, you will have to be dramatic. What did I say just now? Dramatic. अब इसको लोग dramatic means anyway they will pronounce it. So what happens when you are able to play with the letters, when you are able to play with the tone, the modulation, the pitch, this is very important. So dramatic, and if you want me to speak something, I can speak it at any way. Okay, so whether it is, I can take one more example of okay, let's take the word possession, because I spoke this word just 2 days ago, so I remember this. So for possession, superstition, if you want me to speak slow or fast, I can speak it any way. So I always say that these things are dramatic, these things need rhythm, and rhythm comes from songs. So for me, I definitely suggest songs for pronunciation, but yeah, if you cannot sing, if you're not interested at all, then for that you have this Google Assistant where you get scores. You have that green, red, and orange signal for your pronunciation. It provides you mic where you can speak that. All right. So yeah, the pronunciation is the main thing you have to focus upon, and the vocabulary as well. Now, from where the vocabulary will come? If you have just 5 days, so imagine, am I really asking you to go and search vocabulary from the book? No. You have to again listen to the people. You have to listen to the native speakers. You have to listen to your favorite speaker, and the words they are using, you have to copy that. You have to grasp it from there. You have to adopt it from there. The words they are using, all right? For example, if you just follow me. So I also have a limitation in my dictionary, I'm not saying in someone else. So I also have some limitations. There might be some words that are my favorite, or I am habitual of using that. So if you have been listening to me only, you will be adopting, or you must be adopting all the words from me. So this what happens when we admire a person. We listen to them and we take all the sentences or the way of speaking, the way they speak. Or okay, do you guys remember there was the example, I don't know, it was in rumor or from somewhere I heard that Tiger Shroff, I think, he used to admire, or he still admires, Hrithik Roshan a lot. Then after some time, people were saying that he started looking like him, or he started resembling that Hrithik Roshan. So why this happens? Because when you admire a person a lot, then you start becoming like that person, or you start to resemble like that person. So this is very important. I'm just asking you to choose 1 or 2 or 3 speakers that are your favorite, or native speakers. Do that. You have to perform again the shadowing method. That means you have to imitate the native speakers. So why I'm saying native speakers? Because one sentence is very common, that is, what do you do? That means, what do you do? So that is, what do you do? So they have a particular, okay, again, one more, that what are you going to do? No, what are you going to do? It's not that. What you going to do? Then in these 5 days, you have to read as well. So pronunciation, improving the important vocabulary, phrases, and some expressions, listening to your favorite speakers, just 1 or 2, not more than that, and performing that shadowing method, that means imitating the native speakers. Reading, I already mentioned, right? When you follow these things, this will help you come on track. This will help you remind what you are actually doing. And one more thing, read. If you're reading, then read aloud. Read aloud, because anyways you speak in English less. And then also, if you're not vocalizing the words, if you are reading in your mind, then this does not make sense. You have to read aloud, because you are working on your confidence, and confidence is all about your body language, how you move all the organs of your body. This matters, and this shows your confidence. If I sit like this and I speak something, and I'm not even nodding even, so I'm not doing anything, nothing, no, none of my organs is moving. So this does not make sense, right? So for that, when you read aloud, you understand, you feel. Okay, one more thing I really want to mention. So I don't know whether, I'm not going to add it into any of the sections, but you need to feel the sentences. What you are speaking, what you are reading, you need to feel it. So when we feel, then we have this modulation we follow, right? We know that where we have to raise it, where we have to come down. We know all these things. That's why I call it dramatic. In case of females, it's more, but still, when you feel it, you know where you have to take stress, where you have to release it, where you have to catch it again. You know how to follow the modulation, and then the way you articulate. It's very, very important. All right. So these things you have to follow from day 1 to 5. And again, for your confidence, just remember that you are working on your confidence, and visualize yourself being confident always. Like, let me add one more thing. As I talked about manifestation, so every day you have to visualize yourself, you are standing somewhere and speaking confidently. If you have a goal to present yourself confidently at your office, speak something confidently on the stage, or anywhere you want to be confident. Just visualize yourself. If my name is Tanya, that yes, Tanya, like if you close your eyes, if I'm standing there, then I'm visualizing myself that I'm speaking so confidently there. And none of the persons or as is affecting me. I am confident. So you have to speak these affirmations as well. As I said, nothing can happen only with your work and work and work. The actions are important, definitely, but your mind plays a great role over there. That how you train your mind is very important. I don't know you are able to understand my words or not, but these things I have felt, I have practiced practically, and that's why I'm telling you this, okay? So this works so well. Now the real thing comes into being, and you are actually going to start working on your confidence. You have to speak every day in front of the mirror, and I'm not setting any kind of limitations. Just try at least for 3 to 5 minutes. This is the minimum one. Otherwise you can pick up as per your convenience and as per your motivation, as per your energy. You can continue that, but speaking in front of the mirror is very important, because there you have someone whom you can make your eye contact with, and it's you. So confidence is also about making eye contact with somebody. So if you're not able to make eye contact with yourself, it's very bad. You have to do this, okay? So yeah, this is what you have to do. Stand there and speak in front of the mirror. This should be your first thing whenever you start working on your English from day 6 to day 10. This should be the first thing you have to do. The second thing, you must be having different topics to speak. There are many topics in the world. Start reading the articles. Okay, this should be your side work, that you are reading articles and all, because mainly you have to speak. If you want to speak confidently, then also you have to speak. If you want to gain fluency, then also you have to speak. So the one-stop solution is speaking. But when you don't have knowledge, then what will you speak? When you don't have content, then what will you speak? Right now I'm speaking with you guys, so it's not that I put on some makeup or I wore makeup and I just got myself ready and I sat here and I started speaking. I also thought before coming here that what am I going to speak today. I also made some points. Yeah, these points I can mention in this video today. So I created a content for this video, and then I'm here with you guys. So content has to be ready. Now you don't have to make yourself ready with a content every time. So now if any random person comes to me, then I won't say that, okay, hold on, I will be making my content and then I'm going to speak with you. No. So I am delivering right now something important, something productive with you guys, and that's why I needed some points to mention here. But what I'm speaking right now, it's not prepared. It's just coming, it's just flowing from my mouth. So yeah, and meanwhile I'm also giving you some examples. I'm also relating it with some real life examples, some facts. Why is it happening and how is it happening? It's happening because I have created these things over the period of time by talking to others. So knowledge, this is what I want to say, that you will have to read articles continuously, apart from, means regularly, sorry, not continuously, regularly you will have to read, and again you will have to listen to the English podcasts, right? So listen and fill your mind up with some knowledge content. And apart from mirror practice, as I talked about the topics, so you have got to be aware with many topics that are in existence, and for that you can watch some conversations, English conversations, but yeah, that will be local, so I won't really suggest you that. As I said, that podcasts, so yeah, in podcast also you will get a better topics. See, when I say topics, that means I remember all the topics that I present in my sessions. So first I start with social media, then bucket list, online offline shopping, superstition, failures, secret of success, then why breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and then your habits, good habits, bad habits, joint family, nuclear family. So can you see there are different emotions attached with these different topics. If you are, if you have a technical work or you have some other profession, so you know what you have to speak there. Now if somebody comes and suddenly asks you that what is superstition, are you a superstitious person, do you believe in it, will you really be able to answer it? The answer is again no. So you have to, or you have got to be aware with many things that exist in the world. whether it is about mythological, psychological, philosophical. You have to be aware with the things, and also the practical things that we see around ourselves. I make sure that I'm able to explain all the things that I see around myself. I make sure that I'm able to mention, elaborate, and interpret all my past incidents. That is also very important. I make sure that I'm able to explain the thing I see from a distance, and that is a pictorial description. So there are many options, but you have to sit down properly first, and you have to create your own strategy. Then only something will be happening. Now I'm done with from day 6 to day 10. See, I have been saying so many things, and I have been hinting you also with so many things. But just because I don't want to overwhelm you, that's why I'm not saying it directly. It depends upon your strength, how much you take from it, and what you actually build up for yourself, right? I hope you're getting. And now from day 11 to day 15, which is the last stage of yours and extremely crucial. So here you actually, the things or the way you were visualizing yourself, that I as a person standing over there and speaking confidently in English, you have to perform it now. How will you be doing? You will be presenting yourself. You can continue with that mirror practice, because that is also a kind of presentation. But now what is more important here is recording yourself. The live example is in front of you guys. I am sitting here and I'm recording myself. If you think I'm confident or I'm speaking confidently, then see, I don't know that I should put up this example or not, but I would suggest you that go and watch my older videos, right? So the confidence of a person is not always same. But when you record yourself, I tell you something practical, something as a fact, right? Right now in this room, nobody is there apart from me. So whom am I speaking with? I am speaking with this camera. I know that you guys right now, nobody is listening to me, but I know that when I'm going to upload this video, why am I mentioning that you people, you guys? Why am I mentioning? Because I am still assuming that you guys are already there and listening to me. Because for you, it's live, right? For you, you are listening to it as if I'm speaking right now. But no, the time it will be uploaded, and the time I'm shooting it right now, it's just there's one day gap, or maybe I don't know when I'm going to upload it. So this depends, right? Recording is very, very important, because then you can observe, okay, right now you can only see that vest area of mine, but you can stand and then you can record yourself. You can see that how your toe is moving, how your fingers are moving, how your eye contact, whether you are able to make the eye contact or not. Your overall body language is very, very important. Or for that, if you just stand in front of the mirror and you speak, it's fine. But when you record yourself, then you will notice that you will fumble more and more. And one important thing is, the more you fumble, the better you become every time. So if you are fumbling, don't get scared of that. Keep getting fumbled, but keep improving yourself also. Okay? You cannot expect the things to be perfect at the first time you are trying it. Okay? It is all about the process. Just let it flow. I will repeat it again. Then engage in mock conversations. There is something, I don't know, it's a website or what's that. It's Toastmaster, which is just amazing. I don't think it has any comparison. I had joined once just to check that how it works, so that, because I have the habit of taking experience from everywhere, so I keep checking, I keep doing pranks, I keep testing the things. So I joined that, and it was so good. People have no ego issues. That means that why I am best at it, or I will not be helping the other person who is speaking. So it's basically a group call on Zoom meeting they provide. It's free, okay? You can join as a guest. It's a committee, but you can join as a guest as many times as you can or you want. So do it. Okay, so this way you will be able to understand that whether you are able to present yourself better or not. But I would again come back to the recording part. That recording is just superb. Try it once, and for the first few times you will feel so lazy about it. You will feel that why am I doing it? There is nobody really to listen to me, and you will have all such things in your head. But again, the determination part comes, that how determined you are about this, and how consistent are you, or how badly you want it, you have to remind yourself again and again. See, this process may not have the entertainment part, and that's why I said it at the beginning, that you have to train your mind and body first. If your mind is not trained, is not ready for this, you will not be able to do that. Now, one question might be coming in your head, that 15 days, is this really sufficient? The answer is no, but at least you can get the habit of doing it. How is it possible that, okay, again, I am taking my example. So let's say I started shooting videos 3 years back. So 3 years, can you imagine? Now, if that time I thought that I would be shooting videos for 2 months, 3 months, and I would find myself perfect in the 4th month, it wouldn't have been possible. So you have to keep going with very, very less expectations. But yes, if you are very much determined and focused for this 15 days, then definitely you will find yourself different. And one thing I think I forgot to mention, that you have to again choose few of the people who speak confidently. It could be from TEDx, if I'm not wrong with the pronunciation, I don't know, I'm not so much aware, but some Josh Talk speakers, or some people who present themselves so nicely. And I would tell you that there is one person, communication coach, I think Yasser. I am really sorry, I'm not recalling his full name, but Yasser, he's so good. You can follow him on Instagram. I follow him too. I like him, the way he speaks. So you basically have to, if you are particularly working on your communication skills and you think that you are good and fine with your English fluency, or you want to mix it up, so for that you need to listen to the tips again and again in the morning. So if you listen to it in the morning, it will give you a boost up. So I actually wanted to keep this video shorter. I don't know how much time I again took for this. All right, guys, so now I'm done saying all the points. Now I'm waiting for your comments. And one more thing, I hope I'll be doing this. This challenge is going to end up on 31st of December, and most probably I'll come live on YouTube on 31st December. I'm definitely going to ask you guys that whether you took up this challenge, you were able to complete this or not, or how you started and how you're feeling now and all. So we'll be discussing all these things, and I'm waiting for you in the comment section. I'll be considering all the comments. All right, thank you so much, guys, if you have watched till end. And even if you have watched half. All right, so see you soon in the next video. Until then, bye bye.